Welcome to the Zero Gravity Hour. I'm your host, Donna Noftel, and today we're going to be talking about mental health in school. Millions of students suffer every year with anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and many other different mental health issues. These students most of the time suffer in silence because they don't know where to turn to. 1 in 5 Canadian students have dealt with a mental illness, and some of them even resorting to suicide because of this. These numbers are too high. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of the issues surrounding youth mental health. You're listening to the Zero Gravity Hour with Donna Noftel right here on EX2 Radio. Tune in weekday nights from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. for all your student life topics. To be or not to be? That shouldn't be the question. Are you constantly feeling down and out? Do you feel there is no hope to be had? Life can be stressful and hard. You may feel there is no way out of the situation you're in. You may just want to escape the pain. Or you may just need someone to be there. Whatever you're feeling, know you're not alone. Thousands of people are out there right now feeling exactly how you are. So many people have been in your position, and so many people are still here because they decided to stay. And you should stay too. Ending everything is a temporary fix. Think of the greatness you could achieve if you stayed. Still not convinced? Call the suicide hotline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Because we want you to stay too. Welcome back to the Zero Gravity Hour. About a month ago, I was reading an article in the Toronto Sun, and they were talking about how the Ontario government has pledged $12 million over 2 years to fund mental health projects for students in colleges and universities. They also created the free 24-hour student helpline, which serves over 1,000 students per month. I was thinking if in fact the government is going to use this money wisely when it comes to mental health in the post-secondary industry, it will be a really good idea. I also really like the idea of the helpline. I think what students really need is to have someone to talk to. As much as this money will be good and maybe help in some ways, the helpline will do a lot more. Sometimes students just really need someone to talk to, and by having this helpline, it will benefit so many students. Although we're in 2014, there's still a big stigma placed against mental health, and some students, they kind of have a hard time finding someone to confide in. I know for me, when I was younger, it was so hard for me to find a person that I could say, hey, I'm feeling like this, and, I really want you to help me, but I kind of thought, they're kind of going to judge me, they're not going to like me anymore. Especially a few years ago, mental health wasn't really talked about. It was only maybe the past 2 or 3 years when, the Bell Let's Talk campaign came out, and everyone started saying, oh, hey, mental illness, you're not crazy, it's just a thing, it's something normal now. The stats for depression and suicide in youth going into post-secondary is staggering. People may not even realize that their friend, brother, sister, daughter, or son is going through something. So many young people try to hide their emotions and suffer alone. Like I said, it can be really hard for them to confide in parents and friends because they don't want to be misjudged. What people need to know are there's so many resources available to people going to school. When I was in university, it was a time for my deep depression because I had so many assignments, a job, trying to find time to make friends and have a social life so I wouldn't be miserable. It was too much for me to handle, and I cracked under the pressure, and I ended up dropping out. After I left university, I realized that my school had tons of programs and counseling available. Of course, then it was too late for me to go back. I think while students are in university and college, they sort of are having a transition in their life. I know that mental health is most common for people 15 to 24, and I think that's the time when people are really trying to find themselves. They don't know who they are. Puberty comes into effect. People are like, oh my god, my body's changing. What's going on? The stress of post-secondary, even applying to post-secondary is so stressful. Young people get thrown into post-secondary right after high school, and it can be hard to adjust. In high school, they really don't teach you anything about how to get into university and stuff. I know for me, when I was in high school, I had to do everything by myself, try to get into university, apply to school, and get accepted, and it was all alone, and it's so hard when you think about it to do all this by yourself, and then you go to school, and you're expected to know everything. But I think once you get over that initial shock of going into post-secondary and you get comfortable, it gets a lot better. And you have to get help. I know a lot of people think, I don't want to be placed as crazy, or I know my doctor told me, I can get a bunch of bursaries and this and that if I place myself in the category of having a mental illness. And as stupid as it sounds, I said no. I know maybe some people do get it, but a lot of people don't get it, and I don't want to be placed in a category where people think, oh, she's crazy because she has a mental illness. No, I'm not crazy, and no, people with mental illnesses aren't crazy, but a lot of people think that way. So I went to get help, I went to counseling, I took medication. Now I don't take any of that anymore, but I think when you start talking to somebody that really understands, even if it's a stranger, as long as you have that person to confide with and talk to, it gets a lot better and it helps you a lot. You're listening to the Zero Gravity Hour with Don and Oftel right here on EX2 Radio. Now here are the latest news headlines. A streetcar named Desire is now the new name for the 504 streetcar on the TTC in Toronto. It was reported that Thursday during rush hour, 2 males and a female, all intoxicated, were engaging in some pretty racy activity in front of the hundreds of people on the packed streetcar. Some riders alerted the driver and he then quickly notified his supervisor. The 3 were gone before the supervisor arrived and no charges were laid. The 504 streetcar quickly made its way to social media, making it the butt of hundreds of jokes. Safe to say, if you want to get to know someone on that intimate level in Toronto, a streetcar is not the best place. Buffalo has clocked in at a terrible 7 feet of snow and counting in the past 3 days. 12 people have been reported dead and 30 major roof cave-ins. Now as we come into the weekend, Buffalo's temperatures are supposed to rise into the double digits. The National Weather Service has issued a flood warning for Buffalo from Sunday through Wednesday. There is fear that there will be trouble with the drainage because of the amount of uncollected autumn leaves in the road catch bases. Police are looking for a man who they say sexually assaulted a woman by licking her foot before stealing her boot and sock a day after he allegedly stole another woman's shoe. On Wednesday, a man entered a tanning salon and asked the attendant if he could see her shoe because she was around the size of the friend whom he was shopping for. He apparently smelt the shoe and then fled the shop with it. It happened around 3:45 p.m. Wednesday in the Yonge Street and 16th Avenue area of Richmond Hill. The next day, the same man entered a different salon in the same area and asked the attendant about her boot. He allegedly grabbed the woman's leg and removed her shoe and sock, and he began to lick her leg. The suspect is described as white and around 30 years old. Police say he has a medium build, weighs around 170 pounds, and is around 5'8". He has short reddish-brown hair and was sporting a beard, a bomber jacket, black dress pants, and brown leather boots. Oh, you're just imagining things. You're making a big deal out of nothing. What you really need is a vacation. It could be a lot worse. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Don't be so paranoid. It's just crazy talk. Stop looking for so much attention. Just get over it. Is it any wonder why 2 out of 3 people living with a mental illness suffers in silence? Defeat denial. Help defeat mental illness. Stop the stigma. Visit camh.ca for more information. Thank you so much for tuning into the Zero Gravity Hour on EX2 tonight. Anyone suffering in silence, just know you're not alone. There's tons of help out there. Join us tomorrow at 9 p.m. when we talk about stress in the workplace. I'm Donna Noftel, and thanks for listening.